This is Patrick Thompson from CoinGeek, and I'm here with Patrick Prinz, the Europe and Operations Manager of the Bitcoin Association. So Patrick, I think people hear BSV, they hear BSV Enterprise Blockchain, and then they hear Bitcoin SV, and I think there can be a little bit of confusion sometimes. So, I'm sure you've heard these conversations happen. What do you have to say about that?
It's all the same thing eventually, right? You might call it Bitcoin SV, you might call it BSV, you might call it Bitcoin. I think discussing the terminology, the right terminology for it, becomes more and more irrelevant. It's plumbing, it's infrastructure, and Bitcoin is there for everyone. It's there for the Bitcoin enthusiasts, those who have been early into the game. They emphasize that. I appreciate it. The histories and the legacy is very important. But at the same time, we have to become aware that we want to open up Bitcoin to the whole world. And so if the name Bitcoin, which has already a lot of negative connotation, especially with regulatory authorities, with banks, with governments, we shouldn't necessarily put this obstacle in front of us, but rather, when we call it BSV or BSV blockchain, we can have this conversation and transport and communicate this message that we anyway have, that Bitcoin is much, much more than a cryptocurrency. It's a data processing infrastructure. And it allows you to do all kinds of things and provide industry solutions to any industry, from supply chain to gaming to banking. And so, I leave it to everyone how they call it. I go with BSV, it's the ticker symbol, and it allows me to have any kind of conversation.
I totally agree with that, and I really like what you said is that Bitcoin is a solution for the world. It's something that can be used across the globe. What do you think are some of the best ways that we can spread it across the globe and that it can pick up adoption and be implemented in industries?
Anyone who has been to CoinGeek will appreciate the professionalism of the conference. And those of you who have attended several conferences will have also seen the transition. I mean, if you look now here in this audience, it's full of consultants, there's bankers, there's investors. Many of them have never looked at blockchain or Bitcoin before. To them, the whole concept and the controversy between even the different Bitcoin implementations is not important. It's not relevant. They're looking at a software, effectively, that can solve a problem. And if it solves them an industry problem, they might take it on. We have heard today in the morning 3 presentations by the Australian gentleman. And one of them mentioned that 6 months ago, he didn't even know about blockchain. He's an entrepreneur. He has an industry problem. He wants to solve it. BSV solves it. BSV is the only blockchain that solves it, so he works with it. For him, it doesn't matter, who invented it, the controversy about certain individuals. This is all behind us. The whole industry will become more and more professional. We are seeing this now here at CoinGeek Zurich, and it will become even more pointed out in the next conferences.
And if there was any sort of general takeaway that you would want the audience to walk away knowing about BSV, the BSV Enterprise Blockchain, and just CoinGeek conferences in general, what would you want them to walk away knowing?
Come by, check it out, and validate your understanding. Don't believe Twitter. I mean, Twitter is utter nonsense. The guy who owns Twitter is fundamentally against what we stand for. And so why would you take your information from a source that is, driven by a guy who dislikes us? I strongly believe that you should always test and experiment with technology. So most of the people who have done Bitcoin transactions haven't even used the blockchain. They trade on an exchange. They effectively get performance linked on a database. You would test ride a car before you buy it. I recommend you to do the same with the blockchain. Test it, use it, build on it, and you will see why performance matters. We have seen on the first day 2 fundamental things. Steve Shadow showed us in a live demo that Bitcoin scales, and we've seen by Ben Müller that BSV is working as peer-to-peer electronic cash. So it's fulfilling the original Satoshi vision. If you want to now call it Bitcoin BSV or Bitcoin SV, it doesn't really matter anymore. It works, so let's start building.
I totally agree with that. It works, it's being implemented in a variety of industries, and it's working well for multiple people. And Patrick's right, there's no place on earth like a CoinGeek conference where so many great minds come together and have the same goal of making progress in all their industries and increasing efficiency and reducing inefficiency. So Patrick, thank you so much for your time today.